Y'all know me, or kind of, sort of, but this isn't necessarily Tuesday. We just wanted to share some other things with you. The guy on my right is Mr. Jack Martin. Jack is the GM of Branson Collector Cars, the shop. He's the one that runs the restoration facility that also does maintenance and repairs on all kinds of cars. We started out with you doing my race car.
We did.
And then you listened to me moan and whine for a year.
Oh, it seems like years, but...
Longer than that? Anyway, he was the idea behind what we ought to do is open that up to the general public, so we did. His rules, of course.
Absolutely.
Everything's always his rules. But one of the earliest projects that we did was a 1954 Corvette.
Yes, we did.
You remember where we got that car?
Yeah, that came from Kansas City. I do remember going up there that day and checking it out. It was a project that had been started, but of course failed halfway along the line. We agreed to take it on and finish the job. It
was one of those someday projects. A very good friend of mine, actually a fraternity brother from a long time ago, and he got a hold of us and he said, Jim, I've got this car that Cher and I would really like to have back on the road. And I said, well, we'll come look at it and see if we can help. So Jack and I went up to Kansas City and we spent half a day?
At least half a day.
Hunting for parts, trying to figure out how much was there and more importantly, what wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And Jack, with his eminent memory and list taking, figured out what could and couldn't be done. So what were we lacking?
Well, mainly it needed a lot of organizing.
Okay.
Most of the parts were there, even some new parts, but I'm afraid that everything was just scattered to the wind, so we had to organize it and decide what we had, what we didn't have, and where we're going.
Okay. That's a pretty good explanation. When it rolled into the shop, this is what it looked like. And it looks like a whole car, but there were a lot of pieces missing, and a lot of stuff that was just plain wrong.
Yes, that's...
What was your assessment once we had it in the shop?
It was going to be a long road, but we could do it. It came in as a roller. There was no drivetrain in it. Yes, it did have 4 wheels on it. Yes, the steering was hooked up, but it was a far, far distance to being done.
Well, okay, so there's the roller,
mm-hmm.
and then we start by doing what?
Well, basically we talk to the customer and we want to find out what it is they want to do to it, where they want it to go, what their vision of it is. After all, we can build anything from a concours winning car down to a nice driver. And that basically is what he wanted done. He wanted it taken down to scratch. Not a full concours restoration, but he did want a great driver.
Okay. So your first task is to do what? Separate the body from the chassis?
Yes.
Okay.
The car had not been taken down that far. The car needed the full restoration. So we did go ahead and pull the body from the chassis and proceed to evaluate that then and go from there.
When you do that, when you take a body off, especially a fiberglass body
mm-hmm.
like a Corvette, that has to be treated very carefully. How do you do that?
Why? Just because it's 65 years old?
I'm older than that, and I need to be treated carefully. So once you separate it, how do you protect the integrity of that body?
Well, you can't jostle around too much. You need to keep it basically secure as you can without having it bolted to the chassis. Otherwise you just cause more damage to it.
So you put it on a false chassis?
Yes.
What do you call that?
Well, we have a roll-around rack that we fasten it to set it so that it stays completely supported.
So it's bolted up just like it would be if it were on the
yes.
the car chassis?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that helps a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next process after you have them separated?
At that point, we assess the chassis. The body itself did need some work. that we had to send out to body shop to have some of that taken care of. We did some of it in shop, but we started at the chassis, ground up, and went through it, fully restored it with all new bushings and so forth, and the suspension, refurbished all the suspension, just went through it all.
Now, we should say at this point that what Kenny wanted was a driver restoration. He didn't want a show car restoration.
No.
He wanted something because he's going to take it out and drive the boots off of it.
As he has.
Already.
Already. But no, he wanted something that he could be proud of, take to a local show and have it perform well. But in a concourse setting or perhaps Bloomington Gold, it's never going to reach that.
Yeah.
But that was
wasn't
fine.
his objective?
No, it was not.
Now, I'm curious, when you start on a project like this, do you have one person doing one thing or one person doing everything? How do you split up the work?
Generally, we split up tasks. One guy basically takes the lead on it, and we'll probably do at least 70% of the work. But in this case, some of the drivetrain was actually taken care of by one of our guys, Sam, and then David did a lot of the other work on it.
Okay. Did you rebuild the engine?
The engine had been rebuilt.
Uh-oh. I can hear it.
It had been rebuilt, but I just don't trust that stuff. So we did some dismantling, checked all bearing clearances, went through the engine to make sure everything was right. We did find a couple of faults in there that we corrected.
Good.
Good to go.
All right, so basically our elements are chassis, engine, transmission.
Transmission.
Is that an automatic in that one?
It is, however, when the car came to us, it had been switched to a manual transmission, which 54 Corvettes never had.
That's right,
So
they didn't.
somewhere in its lifetime, somebody
Somebody swapped it out.
substituted that.
Wow.
So we had to switch it back.
So you took it back to an automatic?
Yes.
All right, so you got chassis work, including suspension and brakes, and the plumbing, the brake
absolutely.
lines,
All
the
new
electrical
brake
lines,
lines,
brake
yep.
lines, all of that.
Yep.
And then you've got the engine
Yes.
itself and cooling.
Yes.
Did it have a good radiator?
It did. We were able to just get it flushed out good, and basically we did have to send it to the radiator shop to have it totally secured up, make sure there are no leaks in it, pressure tested.
You don't want to find out after you've put it in there, do you?
No. No, that's always disappointing.
Okay, and then, all right, so there's chassis, engine, transmission, and the body. And you've had a guy on the body addressing the issues that it had.
Right.
Were they serious or light or heavy or what?
Some of it was light. Basically, the people that had started the restoration on it did kind of a no-no. They attacked it with sandblasting and everywhere. And so it technically damaged some of the fiberglass, not to the point where it was unusable, but we had to solve that problem, which
And
we
you
did.
Okay. You also restored the hardtop.
Yes, we did. Yeah, the car had both a soft top and a hard top, and we also restored the hard top for him.
I don't think I've seen in my whole life seen 3 hardtops for a 53.4 Corvette. They are very, very rare.
They are rare. GM never made one for the car.
It's an aftermarket piece. I didn't know that.
Yeah, several aftermarket places actually made them back in the day, and this happened to be one of them.
Wow, cool. All right, so now we're up through the chassis and the drivetrain and the body. You've got chrome and upholstery.
We do. We went through, and some of the chrome pieces just had to be redone. Others were in nice shape, and as we said, it was a driver quality. It's not going to be shown. So we did what we could do, polished the stuff that was polishable, and some of the pieces we did have to get re-chromed.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. What about the upholstery? Did you send that out, or is that?
We did that in-house. They do make.
Because you got carpet, you've got top, convertible top, you've got the seats,
Right.
and the dashboard and the door panels. You did all that in-house?
Not all. The top we did send out for that,
Okay.
but the interior, they do make some very nice kits for the Corvettes, so we were able to get a hold of those pieces, and we just did that in the shop. Did the seats.
I took a close look as you finished that up, and I was quite impressed with the guys and what they were able to do. I didn't know they had all that multi-layers of talent, but so here's one.
Yes.
How do you pay for a restoration like that? How long did it take, and how do you pay for it?
This took approximately a year to do. Basically, we just have a running tab with the customer. We'll work on it for approximately 2 weeks or so, bill the customer for what we've done in that time period, and basically pay as you go.
Okay, and how long did it take?
Approximately a year.
1 year. Mm-hmm. And then you delivered it.
Yes, we did.
How'd that go?
That was a fun day.
Kenny came down here. Kenny and Cher came down here, didn't they?
They did. They came down to the auction.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
we had it down there on display at our little booth there. And of course, Ken he hadn't driven it since 1971.
Wow.
That's when it got parked. He owned it then. And we turned him loose.
He graduated from college 10 years earlier than that.
Okay.
No, 8 years earlier than that. Yeah, you're older than me, pal. He was my older. Anyway.
He was elated. We have some video of that, of his first drive in it, and he was absolutely elated.
Well, that's neat. Mm-hmm. That's really neat. Anyway, folks, that's an experience of restoring a car. Here at Branson Collector Cars, you're working with actual people and Jack, who's... Anyway, we have a good time in there. We have a great crew of people.
Yeah, we do.
Jack Baker, David Anderson, Sam Olcott, Philip David is remarkable. Did I leave? Oh, Rick?
Yeah, the little guy.
The little guy.
My little bigger brother, Mark. Mark Groses.
Wait till you meet his little bigger brother. Mark can absolutely fabricate anything. And we can't forget Rick Creed.
Yep.
And then there's Jason, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, Jason Smith.
Mr. Smith needs to go to Washington, is what he needs to do.
I don't think anybody else knows that movie reference.
Oh, it's an old movie. Anyway, we're into it 4 years now, pal.
Yeah.
We need to go racing some more.
I got to get my car built. I sold the old one.
What? All you have to do is paint the thing. Come on.
I wish.
Oh, Lord. Anyway, folks, Branson Collector Cars, Branson, Missouri, Mr. Jack Martin, 417-336-1155. 336-1155. We don't do just full restorations. We do maintenance, we do repair, we do fabrication if that's what your vehicle requires. We do service. Just, if you've got a new Toyota, take it to the Toyota dealer. We don't do that. But if you've got a collector car, vintage car, whatever, that's what they do. If we can help, give us a call. Thank you.